Good afternoon and welcome to the regularly scheduled City Commission meeting for Tuesday, January the 9th, 2024. If you would, please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Can we have a call for attendance, please?
Commissioner Bowles?
Here.
Commissioner Thomas?
Here.
Commissioner Pruitt?
Here.
Commissioner Whip?
Here.
Mayor State?
Here. First off on our agenda, we have a presentation from Police Chief Sean McKinney, and I believe he has 3 new members of the Police Department to introduce to the City Commission. 3.
Thank you, Mayor and Commission. Austin and Troy, please come up, please. First, I'd like to introduce Troy Brown. Troy's not been here, or he's not been to a commission meeting yet. Troy's in training. He's one of our newer officers. He resides in Corden, Kentucky. He's been in Henderson for the last 16 years. He's originally from Jamaica, and he graduated our academy in November. So we're glad to have Troy. He's working his way through the RTO program right now, and we're glad to have him. And then on my left here is a familiar face. This is Austin Hatchett. Austin Hatchett is a Henderson native who left back in 2017, went and worked at Shively for 2 years or so, and he has came back to be an officer here at the City of Henderson. And I'd like to think that our lateral program helped do that. Him and his family's here, so I just want to introduce them to the commission, and we are so happy to have them right now. With manpower issues and things, we are really glad to have these guys on board. And there's one more person, or one more member of the agency, not a person I'd like to introduce. I'm going to let Lieutenant Onan say a word or two. This is Scooby.
Yeah, so Scooby's a approximately two-year-old Great Dane mix. He was rescued from New Hope here in Henderson. We're going to be implementing him into our therapy program for law enforcement. As everyone knows, that law enforcement experiences a lot of traumatic events. Dogs have been found to be able to help officers or anybody who's been through some type of traumatic event. And just from the short, about 3 weeks that we've had him so far at the police department, he's been loved by everybody. He gets nothing but rubs all day and sleep in between. So we actually start training tonight. It's a 3-month program that we're going to be doing. And it's 1 day a week we'll do training with him. And he'll be able to acknowledge signs of somebody having stress or some type of situation that they need some type of therapy. So we're excited to have him. And he's already made a big improvement in the police department, and we hope to be able to use him with the community. You know, he has streets back there. But yeah, we're excited to have him. So it's actually pretty common in law enforcement these days, and I wasn't aware of it until we were kind of researching this whole program. So again, we're excited to have him.
That's all we have.
Real quick, so Officer Brown and Officer Hatch, you from here, and I don't know if you got church home, but if you don't have a church home, I'm a member of Pretty North Chapel Baptist Church. My pastor is Charles Johnson, and right there, and I'm offering an invitation to just stop by and visit if you don't have one. I appreciate it. Appreciate it.
All right, great. On behalf of the city and on the City Commission, I just wanted to say that we very much appreciate our police force. We very much appreciate every man and woman who's there that helps keep us safe. And we just want to extend a heartfelt welcome and thank you. You are providing one of the most important services that we have in the city, and that's to keep us safe and to keep us free from harm. So thank you for coming back. Thank you for coming to Henderson. I don't know what to say to you all. Thank you, Scooby, for joining the force and keeping everybody happy. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Next up, and somewhat related to this first presentation, we have a presentation from John Clark with KLC. Mr. Clark.
Ms. Falls, pardon the interruption. Okay. Thank you all first so much for having me. I'm John Clark with the Kentucky League of Cities. I'm a law enforcement consultant that works for KLC. Every 3 years, KLC meets with law enforcement agencies and completes what we call a safety and liability review. It's a comprehensive look at agency leadership, training, policy, and best practices for police agencies. Chief McKinney and I sat down with his executive staff and took a comprehensive look at how the Henderson Police Department handles just those areas. More specifically, we looked at things that get officers hurt and that get officers, departments, and the city engaged in lawsuits. That's the things that jump out to us most, and they're really important to us. We don't want anybody to get hurt. We also don't want anybody, I've been through a lawsuit in law enforcement before, and it's no fun, and we want to avoid it if we can. So we examined over 60 areas, but some examples of the things that we looked at were driving, the way they do their driver's training and how well they drive. Firearms, how they do their firearms training, what equipment they carry, and how they complete that training each year. Response to resistance training, how often the officers go through response to resistance training, how they review their policies and what the law says that they can and can't do in response to active resistance. Warrant services, evidence collection, packaging, and the storage of evidence, which is an area that can sometimes get police officers inadvertently hung up. Equipment, police equipment, and the OSHA required equipment that officers are required to have in their vehicles at quick access. So one, they have that in case of a critical incident, they have it right there handy. But two, just in case there ever is a critical incident, if OSHA comes to examine those things, we don't get in a bind as a city because they didn't have the equipment that they were required to have. KLC has extremely high standards when it comes to these reviews, but the Henderson Police Department has demonstrated a 100% score across the board, meeting or exceeding all industry standards in every area that we measured. This is an accomplishment not only to the police department, and should be a pat on the back to them, but also to the city commission, because that doesn't go without proper funding. If they don't have the money to obtain the equipment, the personnel, and have the ability to do these things, they fall short. So thank you all, as well as thanking the police department. And in appreciation of that accomplishment, KLC would like to present the Henderson Police Department with this plaque as a recognition of their achievement. Only about, this is guessing on the numbers, I would say less than 15% of the police agencies in the Commonwealth of Kentucky achieved this score. And it's a real accomplishment to have done it. So congratulations.
I'd like to get a quick picture of it.
Can I get Major Conrad and Lieutenant Onan to come take a picture? And Briscoe, Officer Edwards. I more or less sit down with John Clark, who I know well. We were both captains in the state police at the same time in Bowling Green. And we talked about what we needed to do, but these three individuals right here are the ones who got that done. So I want to make sure they get recognized for what they did in this, because as busy as it is up there, I couldn't have done it without them.
And every email that I sent asking for anything, it was met immediately with exactly what I'd asked for. It was really, really professionally done, and I appreciate it.
This is how y'all have to act like you like each other here.
Is that somewhat level?
Yes. There you go. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
It's a lot of hard work, I know. Thank you, guys. Appreciate all your help with it.
It fell into place.
Thank you. Take care of that dog.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Could y'all briefly discuss what this truly means, not only from perspective that we're in compliance with the expectations, but from our insurance company, and KLC is our insurance carrier. Does that help us with when you look at our premiums and things of that nature?
It helps tremendously. Anybody that is over an 80% score receives a 10% discount on your insurance premiums. And that instantly gets some people to the point where they're like, well, wait a minute, we strive so hard to be 100% when 80% would have got us the same thing. Well, that is a 10% discount in your premium, but the premium for an agency that gets an 81% may be a lot different than an agency that is 100%. When our underwriters look at how safe a police agency is, they look at a couple of different things. They look at insurance claims, of course, just like anybody would. But they also look at this score to see how they're doing the things that they should be doing, because it really cuts down on injuries to officers, like we said. And then if something happens and there happened to be a lawsuit, it ensures that we have checked and that we're doing everything that we should be doing the way that we should be doing it.
Absolutely. I just want to say congratulations, kind of echo what John already said. This is definitely great for the police department, and it also takes the city commission and the funding that you all provide. So thank you very much. We appreciate being your partner in your insurance.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Safe travels.
Thanks, John. Thanks, man. Ma'am, thank you for coming.
Before we move on to the consent agenda, is there anyone here who would like to address the city commission on a matter that is not on the agenda?
Say good afternoon, everyone, and Happy New Year to everyone. I just, Reverend Charles Johnson, Executive Director for the Henderson County Human Rights. January 15th is our annual Martin Luther King Day of Celebration event. That will be starting at 12 o'clock p.m., so we encouraging all to come out and support that event here in our community. We made this announcement also this morning at the fiscal court meeting. Our mayor will be on program, our judge executive, as well as Mr. Abraham Bram, who is our Hispanic Latino community liaison. Our speaker is Reverend Adrian M. Brooks, the senior pastor at Memorial Baptist Church in Evansville, Indiana, and does just a tremendous job. Time does not allow us to talk about the tremendous job that he is doing over in Evansville and revitalizing the community where he's at. And so we're looking forward. Also, he is a byproduct of Henderson, so we're excited about hearing from him. So hopefully, weather permitting, we'll be able to have our event. It'll be at 12 o'clock p.m. at United Methodist Church, so we're encouraging all to come out and support that event. So thank you.
Charles, just one quick question. Speaking of weather, I'm an optimist and believe the weather's going to be great. However, if someone is curious that day, if there is inclement weather, where would they know to go to see updates on if the event is held and if it's been rescheduled, things like that?
We'll put it on our Human Rights Facebook page. Also, we'll let the church send it to the church. We'll notify WSON as well too, as well as our news outlet that in case of inclement weather, it's been canceled.
Good deal.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank
Looking
you.
forward to it. Thank you.
Holly, can you pick that up, and if that happens, you can put it on our.
Good deal. Anyone else have anything to bring to the commission that is not on the agenda? Hearing nothing, we will move on to the consent agenda, please.
The consent agenda contains the minutes of the December 28th, 2023 regular meeting and Resolution 01-24, resolution approving Human Resources report dated January 9th, 2024.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Did you mention this one too? Yes. You did, okay, thank you. Do we have any comments, questions, suggestions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Vowles?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Witt?
Aye.
Mayor State?
Aye. Next up, we have a first reading for a zoning ordinance pertaining to shipping containers.
Ordinance number 01-24, ordinance amending Appendix A zoning relating to shipping container homes and commercial facilities. Ordinance amending Article 2 definitions, Section 2.01 definitions, Article 16 RMH Manufactured Home District, Section 16.02 permitted uses, Article 19 General Business, Section 19.03 conditional uses, Article 20 CBD Central Business District, Section 20.03 conditional uses, Article 21 HC Highway Commercial District, Section 21.03 conditional uses, Article 34 Henderson Innovative Planning District, Section 34.02 permitted uses, 2 conditional uses, and Article 25 RSMH Residential Subdivided Manufactured Home District, Section 35.02 permitted uses of Appendix A zoning of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Henderson relating to shipping container homes and commercial facilities.
All right, before we get a motion, Buzzy, do we have somebody that would be good to give us a little rundown of what we're looking at?
Well, I think Don probably would be our best,
I sure will. We
Expert.
actually went through this back in December, actually, November, on, so that, it was in December, sorry. So what this allows is that shipping containers can be used, this is becoming a more cutting edge way of doing housing. So we're going to allow them in the city of Henderson for housing in 2 districts at this point. And then for commercial uses, it'll be a conditional use in the CBD, the central business, and highway commercial, in the HIP zone, and in highway commercial. So that's what we're allowing. So we're trying to embrace this new technology. Well, it's not new technology, but new uses for old technology. Of course, they'll have to meet all Kentucky building requirements, all electrical requirements,
And when we were talking, when Dawn and I were talking earlier about this ordinance, kind of used a analogy of maybe dipping our toes in the water so this would be the initial step into allowing it into our community. What would we need to do in the future if we see that it is successful and would like to expand it to other districts or for other uses?
we just come back and change the zoning ordinance like we have here. So,
Okay.
but right now, it's going to be a permitted use in manufactured homes and in our subdivided manufactured home district for homes. And then conditional use, that normal business, highway, commercial, and central.
Thank you, and we're going to allow for more questions, but before we do that, can I get a motion to approve? Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Does anyone have any questions, comments, or suggestions related to this specific ordinance from the commission or from the people in the audience?
This just pertains to homes, right?
And business.
I mean, that's storage.
No, and this is not.
Any other questions or comments?
No, I was just thinking, if it works out pretty good, I was just imagine lining up a bunch of them, and especially during wintertime, and people that we having problems with and homeless, that we can have a place for them, at least to go in, maybe be warm, I don't know, and then you have to look at liability and different things like that, but I have seen them, and some of them pretty nice.
They have had those in other cities for sure.
Mhm.
There have been some very creative uses of shipping containers. If I'm not mistaken, I think one of the distilleries in Louisville had sort of a shipping, is that right? When I looked and I saw one online, I thought I remembered that at one of the distilleries had like a shipping container configuration where they had a couple of containers, but then they used all kinds of little implements to attach them and to add seating and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It was really well.
It's like a little restaurant
Yeah.
inside. I didn't know what I seen.
Yeah. Well, good, so we have a motion and a second. It doesn't sound like we have any other questions, so roll call, please.
Commissioner Vowles,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Whitt.
Aye.
Mayor Staten.
Aye. Next up, we have a municipal order awarding a bid for mowing.
Municipal order number 01-24, municipal order awarding bid for mowing services for city properties in Group B to Brandon's Lawn and Landscaping of Henderson, Kentucky in the amount of $69,408.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, Commissioner Val, second, Commissioner Thomas. Any questions, comments, or suggestions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Vowles?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Whitt?
Aye.
Mayor Staten?
Aye. Next up, we have a municipal order awarding a bid for a refuse packer.
Municipal order number 02-24, municipal order authorizing purchase of a 2024 Freightliner M2106 chassis, PACMAC RLM 11 Packer body with a Diamondback tipper for the Public Works Department by Commonwealth of Kentucky Master Agreement Modification number MA 605-23000000431 from Velocity Truck Centers of Lexington, Kentucky, in the purchase amount of $191,700.
Before we get a motion, our Director of Public Works, I think has a few comments you'd like to make, sir.
Well, I'll just give you a brief rundown on this. We had a lot of bad luck with this bid that we had. Originally it was in 2022, and we had a bid, and that was fine, but over time, they weren't able to, I guess due to availability of the trucks and chassis and the parts, that they couldn't get the vehicle that we needed in a timely manner. And as time went on, they told us that they could no longer honor the bid, and they couldn't give us a definite delivery time too, so we kind of had to go out and look for other avenues to basically obtain the same truck that we bid 2 years earlier. So this is a newer, it's the new model truck, basically the same truck we looked at before. This time we're buying it off a state contract, and this new vendor says they can have the truck to us by the end of March, so that's just a few months away. Whereas the other one, it was going to be on July or after before, at best. So that's kind of what we did. We had to change what we did.
Good deal. There will be time for questions, but can we go ahead and get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Does anybody have any comments, questions, or suggestions for Brian or for anyone else regarding the refuse packer?
I have one comment
Yes,
that
sir.
you need to be made aware of. Because this packer was budgeted in a prior year, we will have to expense it in the current year. So when we do our budget amendment, probably in February, you'll see this come back up. And realize it's coming out of the sanitation fund, which is an enterprise fund. So it will impact that fund only.
Any other questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Vowles?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Whitt?
Aye.
Mayor Staten?
Aye. Next up, we have city manager's report.
Okay, under my report, we have rezoning number 1155 with a revised master plan / development plan. This rezoning went to the planning commission, and since that time, the planning commission did a findings of fact, and this involves the subdivision called Braxton Park on Watson Lane. And since the planning commission took action on the rezoning, there's been 3 appeals as of this afternoon received. Thus, I'm going to recommend that the city attorney provide to the Board of Commissioners the findings of facts that the Planning Commission had presented to them. And with that being said, she will provide the options in which this board has to address these appeals. And probably we would look at bringing this back at our next regular meeting at the end of January. So I think Dawn can do that. Any questions you may have of Dawn, feel free to call her, and we'll discuss this at our next meeting.
So Dawn, is it fair to say that between now and the next meeting, you'll reach out to us individually
Yes,
and
I'll
address
give
any
you
questions we have?
Yes, I'll give your packet, the transcript, and the documents that were submitted to the planning commission, and provide you with some information as to what you're offering.
Okay. Fair enough. Do you have anything else on your report?
No, sir.
City attorney's report.
Pull my PowerPoint up. All right. Before, you all asked that we take a look at a couple of items that we are bringing back to you all today. One of the questions that you all had for staff was parking. Currently, who are not enforcing parking in the downtown area. And so one of the questions you all had was if you all decide to go forward with parking, what changes would staff recommend? And so these are the changes that staff recommends on here. The first change would just be that when Marie and I and Nancy went back to look through all of the parking ordinances, they're all over the place. They're not, you can't find them just in one chapter. So if you all are going to keep doing parking enforcement, we think that what we would like to do is go through and take all the parking ordinances and consolidate them in one chapter. And we would do it under chapter 22, traffic and motor vehicles. So that would be our first recommendation to the board, that you allow us to go back and look at those. Then the second thing is, if you all are looking at random enforcement, which was one of the discussions, we currently think that to make the incentive to obey the parking ordinances more, to encourage better self-regulation, we would propose that the current fines increase. Currently, our overtime parking, and that would be over 3 hours, if you pay it within 48 hours, it's a $5 fine. Our proposal would be a $10 fine that doubles after 48 hours, which is where we currently do it. Handicap parking going from $10 to $50, and then if not paid within the requisite period, it would double to $100. Loading zone, which we did, yeah, sure.
From 50 to 100, how many days would that be in between?
Is it 5 days or 48?
I think it's 5 days.
It's 5 days. It's 5 days, so they have 5 days to pay it.
Days.
Yeah. So
Yes. So loading zone from 10, 25 to 50, and you can just follow. So all the rest of them would go from $10 to 25, except for scattered parking. And if you're going to do random enforcement, we can't have a scattered parking. And so our recommendation would be, if that's the avenue you are looking at, that we would repeal that ordinance. So those are really the only, parking is really your all, cross to bear, unfortunately. But we think that if you all do want to continue with parking enforcement, these would be the first steps to try to help people be better about following the current rules. And the other thing is, if you all were to get rid of parking, we would go back through all the parking ordinances. And remember, we have permit parking for people who live downtown, so we would take out those permit parkings as well, so.
The only one I disagree with is across the line.
Across the line?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's big trucks, it's so easy to get your wheels on that line. I see that being a mess, $25 fine.
And I kind of think that from 50 to 100, 25 days, maybe it might need a little bit more time, maybe 2 weeks.
I actually don't mind that suggestion. I think if we went from 5 to 10 business days on that.
Yeah.
Especially if we're gonna raise the fines.
Yeah, we're gonna go 50 to
So
100.
you want 5 to 10 business days on all the fines?
Yeah, so 10 business days on all the fines. I think that
Yeah.
as long as, I'm in agreement with Commissioner Pruitt on it. Yeah, I think 10 business days.
Okay.
I love the fact that you took handicap from 10 to 50. I It's not that I think it's too little, but I mean, if you would have went more, I think I would have been okay with it too. I think out of all of them, that's the one that people can, it should always follow regardless.
Well, Nancy was really the one, Nancy Stone, who's done this for years, was really the one who did this. She didn't want to get up and talk in front of you all, but she did tell me that it was often frustrating to see the handicap parking spots being abused. And so she really felt passionately about that.
I didn't know you only got a $10
On the across,
I didn't know you only got a $10 fine for no parking area for fire.
yeah. Yeah, on across the line, Commissioner Thomas, what hit, I.
No, I'm fine with $10.
Okay,
The 25 seems a little steep.
so you want to keep that
It
at
can get
$10?
interpreted. If
Okay.
somebody's on the line, somebody could write a ticket thinking they're over the line. I know from parking in front of rookies all the time, it's easy to pull them on the line and you don't know it. And I've got a smaller vehicle, I know if you got a big truck, it's very easy to park over that line.
Okay.
I don't want to get a phone call.
And something else to point out that's not on this sheet too, is that our parking enforcement would, even if we went to random, the hours that it would fall on would be
Yes.
non-holiday, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5.
Right.
And
right.
so at nighttime, we are not equipped to enforce parking and never have been.
Right.
And the elimination of the scatter parking is because you have to monitor it daily in order to enforce it. And so this would allow us to go to a system where we have maybe one day a week, where we have just a random day per week where we have someone go out and enforce parking that's unannounced, to where it just enough to keep us honest, but not enough to keep us to where we're discouraging people from coming and visiting our downtown. So I like it. I think you all did a good job with it.
All right. Well, so then what we will do is, it won't be at the next meeting, because we'll have to go through and really look at where all those parking, because when Marie and I started going through it, they were everywhere. And so I'm not quite sure how it happened that way, but we just think it'll be more user-friendly if we get it all at once. All right. Anything else on parking? Including some that have probably been on the books since probably the 30s or 40s, that $3 fine goes to the police chief.
Oh, wow, look at that.
At least that one, y'all.
Is that back pay?
No, does anybody else have any,
Make parking tickets.
does anybody else have any questions or comments on parking for Dawn? All right, thank you, Dawn. And you got a tax moratorium.
We do, we have a tax moratorium. So, as you all asked, and I think this came out of some inner city discussion, was whether we should look at expanding the tax moratorium. And so we looked at it, we discussed it, we researched it, we talked with Missy, who was here, I thought Missy was flying in. We talked to Andrew Powell, PBA, understand that the PBA has to, anytime we get a tax moratorium, he's the one who has to go out and do the assessment before we can even come to you all, because it has to be reassessed at the time of application. So he's fine with it. One of the things that the mayor and I learned talking with Missy and with some state reps is really a tax moratorium doesn't work in the M1, M2 districts, because they have state incentives and you can't stack those incentives. So what we've done here is we've allowed tax moratoriums in all zoning districts other than light industrial and heavy industrial, because those are not really applicable to what you all are looking at. This is how the new ordinance would look, that it would be allowing all zoning districts other than heavy industrial and light industrial. Then the state statute pretty much sets everything else. For a building to qualify, it must be 25 years or older. And so in doing that, the 25 years is a state requirement. So we can't change that. But now we're adding that it can be it was commercial, now it can also be for residential. But we added that the proposed qualifying project must be valued not less than 10% of the current PBA assessment. And the reason is
going through these tax moratoriums are not, there's a lot of paperwork and a lot of work downstairs and in Andrew's office. So we don't want to have to do a tax moratorium for just really small projects. So 10% of the assessed value. So if it's less than 10% of the assessed value, then it wouldn't qualify for a tax moratorium.
And that's for residential, the 10%?
Residential and commercial.
The 10% on commercial also?
Yes. And then the 5 year, the only change on the 5 years, that's in the state statute, but as with parking, it was actually in a separate ordinance, as you can see, and we discussed that it would be clear if we just put it all in one ordinance. And so that is not a change, that's just bringing it into one ordinance. So those would be our recommendations to expand the tax moratorium in the city. As I said, Andrew and I had a discussion and he's in agreement with it. He doesn't see that this is going to cause a problem in his office, so. No questions?
Any comments or questions? We've been over this one, yeah, pretty extensively. I think it looks great, and it's exactly what we asked for. And this one it came out of the Economic Development Committee for the Inner City Improvement Plan. This was one of their suggestions, and I think it was a good one. And so what we're doing basically is we're going to make it so that anyone who owns property in the city, residential or commercial, that's 25 years or older, can do a significant upgrade to their project and will not owe any additional taxes on any increased property value from that project for a period of 5 years. And hopefully that encourages people who want to do some renovating, and yeah, I like it. We're not losing any money. We're just delaying money that we could receive and hopefully encouraging people to develop. Anything else, Dawn, on the city attorney's report? You good?
No, sir.
All right, let's go ahead and, we have need for executive session, but let's go ahead and run through the commissioners' reports, if we don't mind, commissioner comments. Commissioner Vals, do you have anything today?
Nothing today other than Happy New Year.
Okay. Commissioner Thomas?
Nothing today.
Commissioner Pruitt?
Nothing.
Commissioner Witt?
Nothing today.
All right, the only thing that I've got,
Do you have any appointments today?
we've got some, but we're going to hold them until the next meeting.
Can I ask a necessity of an appointment
Absolutely,
today?
absolutely, we'll go.
Is Steve Alston, who is the Henderson Water Utility Board member, has resigned from our peak board. And part of the bylaws for peak require a replacement for that position. And would ask today if the Board of Commissioners would consider making that appointment today,
Sure.
if possible.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for bringing that up. When something involves me, I tend to forget about it.
Me too.
Well, and this one involves me in that I would be happy to volunteer as the member from the commission to be a part of the peak board. The peak board is the one that goes over our natural gas contract and all the inner workings, and it's actually quite a complex board to be and a demanding board to be a part of. And former Mayor Austin was so generous to continue his service on that board for my first year as mayor, to allow me to settle in before having to take on this role. But if you all are okay with me taking over for Steve Austin, then we need a motion to make that happen.
I move that we put Mayor Staton on the peak board.
All right, we have a motion, do we have a second? Second. We have a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Vals?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Witt?
Aye.
Mayor Stain?
I will abstain, thank you. And as far as comments go, I've just got one thing to point out. Last year, we started something that we anticipate to do annually, and that is a goals-setting meeting for our department heads and city commission. The goal-setting meeting has been scheduled for next Tuesday. It'll be from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. At, I believe it's going to be at the UK Extension Office, so looking forward to that, and then we have our next regular meeting will be the 23rd of January. With that, we have a need for executive session.
Move this commission go into executive session pursuant to KRS 61.810, subsection B, for discussion of the sale and purchase of real property in the vicinity of US Highway 60 West and Old Gordon Road and Kentucky Highway 425.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Vowles?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas? Commissioner Pruitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Whitt?
Aye.
Mayor Kimball?
Chelsea, I would ask that you stay behind. Missy, if you don't mind, Bart, can I come out and get you after we have our first discussion?